Yo, 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 it is Corey Jag on Marco back with the DODCAST. This is season 3. I believe we're looking at episode 9 now. Might even be episode 10. I could probably double check. I'm going to do that real fast. I am very low on time. I am worn about as thin as I possibly can be over these last couple days. It looks like it's episode 10. Yeah. I've got like 45 minutes, but there isn't that many matches to recap, at least, and I guess not that many matches to predict even either. So, should be able to just burn through this very quickly. First of all, I know that there's a hype video out that Louis made for the Goose Patrol and Lads match. I believe that Caleb is making another one in general for the Silver and Gold finals as well. I can play. I don't. It's like, do I play it? Because, like, I feel like I should be sending you guys to go watch it. You know, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to post the link just in the thing right now. Where is it? Where is it? I'm going to find it. I'm going to find it. I swear to God, I just had it up. Where'd it go? Watch later. I hate how when you add something to watch later, at a certain point, it just starts putting it at the bottom of the list. This is just, I'm just gonna go through my history. It's fine. I got it. I got it. There it is. I got it. I knew I'd find it. But yeah, this way, you know, Louis made it and put his hard work in. You guys should watch it on his YouTube. You know, get him the views here. Can I paste this bad boy? There we go. It's pasted. I don't know if there's going to be too many viewers for this, because I'm just trying to sneak this in real quick. But I figured I'd do a live just because, whatever. It's already Saturday, so some people want to watch it. Maybe they'll watch it now. But anyways, it's finals weekend. We already actually have one of the finals done, in fact, which we'll get to. I'm not sure how I should recap this whole thing, because we had, like, semifinals matches played and then finals matches played. There's a lot of crazy shit. I'll just get fucking started here. We'll get to bronze, the semifinals, which, because we have an actual finals match to get into, we can just fucking burn on through to that. So on one side of the semifinals bracket, we had Insomnia and Lads. They played Harrington and Anzio. Lads took both. The Harrington game was much closer than the Anzio game was. Timo was 100% the MVP of this series, just 100%. He top fragged both maps overall. He might have even top fragged all 4 halves. I'm pretty sure he did. Definitely top fragged those 2 halves. He's got not that half, but he did top frag overall still. As you can see there with the 36, got up to 61 overall. I believe Milo was the next closest. Yes, he had 53. On Harrington also, Milo, of course, another godly performance out of him there. 71. I mean, it's Milo. We all have come to expect these things out of him. Really, it was just like an all-around crazy team performance from Lads. Look at there. Chi, with Milo having a 38, Chi still had 30 and 19 as well. Like, still an excellent KD ratio. On Axis side, obviously, it's not quite as easy to go off fragging with the STG, but still going even on your Axis side. Having Harrington is not easy to fucking do. But yeah, they looked really, really good just on both maps, honestly. They're peaking heading into these finals now. Insomnia had Modgers ringing because obviously Gandhi quit the 2 weeks prior. And then Kaboom played the next week, but he didn't want to play again, so they needed to find a replacement. Matt was a pretty perfect replacement in that spot. But yeah, Sean had a crazy, obviously he always has fucking crazy matches. Sean has been about as consistent a player as there's been in the game throughout the seasons he's been back. In particular, in this matchup, like, man, off the initial on their allied side, he had, like, I think it was 5. It was, like, 4 Garand kills and a car kill. They weren't able to get mid, though. It was, like, a miraculous nade, I believe, stopped them from getting mid. He had a couple of absolutely bonkers shots. As you can see there, Sean just going off all around. He had over 60 kills there. I don't think it was quite as much here now, but I do believe he topped frag still. 9 had a really good series as well across the board. Hypnotic played really well on Harrington, for sure. I was going to say on Anzio, I think he didn't really have that much to kill, yeah. But yeah, I mean, just lads looking so good. They are ready to go for the finals matchup. Everybody looks really good on this team, and they seem to have a really good understanding of what one another are going to do and what's going to be best for their teammates all around them. Sort of like the sixth sense, the twin connection kind of a thing, where they know what to expect from one another and when to expect it, and are rotating around well, and they're throwing good nades, and their communication's on point. And, with this, they get to move on to the finals. By the way, the Anzio game 651 to 350. It was, they almost doubled up on them. They were putting up a lot of caps. As you can see, Insomnia had a really good allied side. They won their allied side, but lads had a superior allied side. I mean, only one negative score here, and Cage was kind of like, doing the rat roll, making sure that if there was any breaks happening and stuff like that. I mean, they didn't end up needing it after a certain point, but regardless, when you have this many kills going around on Anzio, somebody is going to end up with no kills to get. It's usually me on Thunder. In this case, it was Cage. But yeah, it's just one of those things. There's only so many kills to go around in any given half of DOD. I don't think a lot of people realize that. Like, you'd think that if you didn't know any better, you'd think that everybody could just hypothetically have 40 kills, but that'll never happen. It's just not possible. There's no world in which there'll be 240 deaths unless somebody's literally just like typing kill in console, I mean, then it's possible. But realistically, you don't see it happen, which is why most of the time you'll see like 4 people end up with 25 to 30 or more, and then usually it's like another 2 that are a little bit back there. So don't let the score fool you. It's not like Cage had a bad half. There's just no one left to kill at that point. The 141 kills, they were just dominating and capping out at will here. Obviously unfortunate for Insomnia. They had to go through a lot of adversity this season. The roster turned over a couple times, losing key players. They're starting Carr and Illusion, which they were able to replace, of course, with Purdy, who looked great when he came back, just continuing to get better. And then with the whole Gandhi thing, and then they had Kaboom, but Kaboom didn't want to play. And so then they had to bring in Modgers, but Matt played really well. It's just, all in all, I think that Insomnia can be happy with the season. And if they're going to stick around, they can look forward to maybe trying to fill out their roster and practice all together. Because I think that's a team that could be on the up and up as things move forward. By the way, if this is laggy at all, it's because I'm rendering a fucking movie right now. And it's entirely possible that my screen is just like skipping around, and I would have no idea. But yes, lads, moving on to the silver finals there with the 2-0 sweep. And on the other side of things, so this was a crazy series. This is one of the craziest best of 3 series that certainly I think any of us have witnessed since the return of DOD. It was Goose versus Clinic. I believe my prediction was that Anzio would go to Clinic, that Goose would take Lennon, and then I was like, if I had to put my money on it on Railroad 2, it'll probably be Clinic because they've never lost, but that I would not be at all surprised to see Goose win because you got Gall, you got Debo, you got DB, and you got 3 players that are all fully subscribed to doing their jobs, and spoiler alert, but Goose pulled it off. The first, not only just the first map loss in them taking Lennon, which I really did think was a good matchup for them. Not because Clinic isn't good at Lennon, but just because the players on Goose, the way that they play Lennon and how good they are at it, I thought it was a map that they could very easily end up taking, and they did, especially if you had Debo heavy. So Anzio, Clinic took by, what was it, a little under 100. It was like 96, I believe. It was pretty close. Oh, man, this is very, very small. Fucking A. Well, as you can see there, so Gall, for one thing, carring double windows. I kept talking about it during the match. He went to the Jagan School of Double Windows. He knows what's up. Had an excellent half there with 31 kills. Debo at 29. DB with 28. On the other side, Carpenter, as always, rock solid, 28 kills. Stark had a really good series overall. He looked great. Just it seemed like every half he was looking really good. And Suave with 31. You know, just with Clinic always, you can expect pretty evenly distributed frags. And then in the second half, oh my god, it's even harder to see this half. Looks like Andrew had 30. Let me see if, okay, so that's still up there when I do this. Can I fucking zoom in on this? Kinda. Gall had 30 for sure. Debo with 25. Reptar with 22. And DB also with 25. And on the other side, for Clinic, it was 29 on Vic, 24 on Suave, and 28 on Tom. Carp was 20. I cannot tell if that's a 24 maybe for Stark or 19. It's so hard to tell because I'm like zooming in on 640. Candy, I think, is 17. Hopper with 18. Nicholson, 20 and 19. I mean, here's the thing. Goose Patrol looked great on Anzio, too. You know, the idea that they were going to be outclassed because of teamwork on Anzio was swiftly eliminated right away. They looked really, really good on Anzio. I mean, we've seen it on Thunder in particular, the way that Debo plays Anzio, the unpredictability. He can constantly be up your ass and you'll never know it. And if you're not very aware of that fact and keeping a hold on middle, especially for heavies, then he can suddenly be like at your first flag, suddenly be flanking at the other side of the map. Like, there's a million things he can do, and he has a good feel for when to do them. So it paid dividends for them for sure. They almost were able to take this map. 96 points, obviously, like, just about 2 caps if you include the hold points that will inevitably come since you don't just cap the 2 double caps and then immediately cap out. But yeah, Goose Patrol looked really good. Clinic took that map by 96. Then it went to Lennon. This was the most actually lopsided of the 3 here. It was 496 to 286. Goose Patrol takes it. God, I need to open this up in the fucking browser to be able to see it again. So this game was very interesting. It kind of went down the way I think that most people expected, that saw things the way that I did too, with Goose Patrol having a really good chance to take this. Gall on well, so good. Reptar is a really good well player too. And then Debo in Apartments. So frag-wise, Andrew at 35, Reptar at 28, Nicholson at 28, Debo at 27, and then DB 25 and 13. So good at sniping this map and Axis side in particular. The way that he chooses to play it is very interesting, and I think a lot of snipers could take note from the way that he plays, especially Axis side of Lennon, sniping-wise. And then for Clinic side, Carpenter with 25, Suave with 25, Tom with 24, Candy with 22, and it looks like Vic with 30, I think, and it looks like Stark, I think, with 19. It's so hard to read when there's this white background on it, but Clinic, I believe they won this half, or they lost it, like, very closely. It looked not great because it's their allied side. You know, you want to win your allied side by a lot. Or at least, I'd say, with the way that things are now on Axis, I think, like, you probably want at least 2 caps of a lead. Which is, like, 120, technically, because it's a double cap map. But then, so on Clinic's Axis side, Suave went off with the car. He's so good with the car. You know, you can always expect him to have good car halves. Or, you know, if he can just find cars on the ground on allies, too. He had 39. Candy had 31. Stark, 20. Tom, 18. Carp, 22. Vic, 23. Like, it was just the way that Goose Patrol were covering everything. You know, they were swarming everything. They gave Clinic no room to breathe whatsoever. It actually looks like they might have won both halves in the end. Based on how much they won this half by, I don't think they could have lost their Axis half. Unless, again, because the fucking font is very hard to read. I forget. But yeah, regardless, even if they did lose their Axis half, they played really, really well and kept it very close, but I think they might have won. And on Goose Patrol's side, of course, as we talked about, Debo with 43. Putting Debo on the heavy on Lennon, that's such a big idea to take forward. He the apartments flow through everything else. You need somebody there who can really dominate, and Debo is a guy who can do that consistently. Bobby Reptar had 40 on the Garand. I keep telling everybody, nobody listens. He is a great Garand. I know he really loves the car, but I feel like, if he wanted to really take the time to look at being a Stas, he could be somebody that is a very dangerous Stas because of how good he is with that Garand. We all love the car, obviously, except Toxinate. But the really crazy Stases are so few and far between. So it might not be a bad idea to look into that in the off season. He's still good. He's great with the car, but just because of how much better he is with the Garand, it's maybe worth looking into. But then DB, again, 34 and 18. He just had a great half. He did what no other snipers have been able to do in a long time, which was he kept Carpenter off the scoreboard. Just 2 excellent halves by DB. Just going huge. Nicholson with 20, Hopper with 21, Gall with 33. It was these big 4 of Goose Patrol and Reptar, DB, Gall, and Debo putting up the lion's share of the frags here in a, like I said, the biggest deficit of all the victories, the largest margin of victory. And then it went to the decider, Railroad 2, which I only see 1 screenshot for, which is rather unfortunate. I might have a second screenshot, actually. You know what? I bet I do. It's going to be so annoying because everyone's going to be like, we can't see the screenshots. But it is what it is. They're just very small resolution, whoever posted them. I think it was Hopper. I don't know why I was looking at the Discord for these screenshots when I have all of them. That's my bad. Alright, so Railroad 2, the decider. This was intense. This was an intense match. Goose Patrol ended up winning 231 to 161, a 70-point difference, like literally 2 caps. 2 caps would have done it for Clinic. But Debo, once again, I mean, you got to give Debo probably the MVP overall here, regardless of whether he actually fully top fragged or not. I'm pretty sure he did. But even if he hadn't, just based on the importance of the kills and the streaks he went on. So it was on Axis side for Goose Patrol, they won 81 to 45. I remember that they were just like swarming to cap out over and over again. Lots of like full team wipes. For Clinic, Carpenter went 33 and 18 still, sniping Allied side, Railroad 2. You can really put up a lot of numbers there and have a good KD. Candy was 28 and 21, Tom 24 and 23, Vic 23, Stark 18, and Suave 14. But then on Goose Patrol side, Debo 34, Reptar 30, DB 29, and Gall 26. With Hopper and Train going 18 and 8, doing a really good job because thing is, Candyman is so dangerous in Train, and if you got him going Train to deal with, you really want to make sure that he does not get out. 18 and 8 doing it is great. You can't complain about that one bit. That is kind of like a perfect job by Hopper. Candyman, his most dangerous scenarios on this map are when he gets pushed out of Train into 4-way, when he gets pushed out of Train to your second flag on the other half. And he really couldn't get going a lot. I think they actually swapped somebody else into Train at different times, if I recall correctly. A lot of these matches now have blended in because it's been like a week. But, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure somebody will. Hey, look at that. Yeah, I clicked the links, Hopper. I did. So it brought it up, but it was like still really small on my screen. So I just went to the screenshots that I had in my DOD folder for it. I see Ben in the house. Let's go. But yeah, so it was like a 36-point win there. So it was still very close heading into the second half, which was Allied side for Goose Patrol. Gall drops 41. You're going to be thinking he top fragged. He did not. We'll get to that, though. For Clinic, we only got 5 of them there. Suave had an excellent half with the car. 36. 27 on Tom, also carring. 23 on Vic. 23 on Candy. I don't have Stark in here. Carp had 19. It was really just like... I mean, I wish I had the 6th guy in here so I could see exactly how many frags they won by frag total-wise, but... in the end, I'll tell you the rest of the scores for Goose Patrol because Gall did not top frag. Hopper was 15. DB was 22. Nicholson 23. Reptar 24. Gall 41, and Debo with a 52 on the bar, including like probably 7 different crazy movie clips. He definitely had was it a 4 or a 5? I think it was a 5K holding the last flag at one point. He had this ridiculous 5K that ended with like 3 standing bars and underpass. He was just getting like 3+ kills every life, it seemed like. Just going off. Exactly what we talked about in the DODCAST leading into this match, that with Debo and with Gall, you have 2 huge, like, just X-Factor players. And if they have themselves good games, that's where the win can come through. And they had some of their best games that we've ever seen them have here. You know, the snipers both didn't have, like, crazy scores. It was a lot of, like, we're either pushing to cap or they're pushing us to cap, you know? And I feel the sniper's pain when that's happening, because you just have nothing to do. There's nades flying everywhere. You have to be scoped in 90% of the time, and, like, there's 3 different spots to deal with. So, you know, I know their pain in this match from all the T3 matches we've had, where they're, like, fucking single-digit games, and we're just holding on, trying not to get capped on, or we're pushing to try to cap, so you're running around trying to no-scope. But yeah, I mean, God, in the end, Goose Patrol they brought the pain on Railroad 2. Debo and Andrew both came up big when they needed it the most. And everybody played well. There wasn't anybody that had a bad game. There wasn't anybody who made any, like, gross mistakes that gave up cap outs or anything. You saw good rotations. You saw good nades. You saw them flood the flags that they needed to flood and defend. You saw them push for caps in the right way. You saw them not overreact to any situations. And you didn't see them ever really, like, have their whole team die and they got capped on. There was always somebody making sure, like, if a few people die, I'm going to wait and make sure we don't lose mid, wait and make sure we don't have somebody slip out to one of our flags. They looked really primed and ready to go, and lads are going to have their handful with these boys. I know they've been practicing, and I know Goose Patrol has been practicing, so they're both going to be sharp. That should be a really, really fun series. I look forward to watching that, casting it tomorrow at 3 Eastern in the afternoon. That is a big, big semifinals 2-1 series win for Goose Patrol, upsetting the former Kings of Silver and Clinic, who had never lost a map, let alone a series, until they lost to Lennon for their first map loss, and then lose overall on the Railroad 2 map 3. Great season to Clinic. Obviously, these guys just went, I don't even know how many games without losing in Silver. But in the end, coming up a little bit short to just a team clicking at the right time in Goose Patrol. Like, pretty much the perfect time, obviously. Semifinals. You couldn't click at a better time. That's right, Hopper did. Hopper got the caps. That was the big thing. I remember talking about that during the cast too. Like, Hopper, regardless of the score, was the guy getting the cap outs. And obviously a 2-cap win basically in the end. Both those cap outs, ninja caps, were the big difference makers. So just mad props to Goose Patrol. Nobody thought that they could realistically do it. You know, even me saying, like, they're going to win Lennon, and they could win, it was like, well, Clinic will probably win, though. We have not seen Clinic ever get beat. So the thought of it happening seemed just, like, not possible. But everybody's human. Anybody can lose in this game. Everybody said Thunder, you know, would never lose, and then we lost in Season 1, and then we lost to the Clinic in Season 2, and then we lost this season twice. Like, it just... Anybody can lose at any point in time, and anybody who thinks they're not going to win should remember this game, should remember the Thunder versus Clinic game, and should remember the first T3 and Thunder semis game, when everybody had written all these teams off, and they ended up pulling it out in the end, and that sets up a really fun Silver Finals match for tomorrow. Did I just do Silver first? I did. So I'll go to Bronze now. I fucked up there, and I meant to do Bronze first, and then I got sidetracked. Now, I'm going to kind of burn through the semifinals portion here because they played the finals since then, and that's obviously going to need to take up more time, and I'm already taking more time on this whole DODCAST than I thought I was going to. Where's the bronze? There it is. Okay. So I don't have... Oh, that's right. Nice didn't... Oh, yeah, Nice did play in the semifinals versus... Who? Where is it? Not there, not there, not there. I am confused. There's Romario washed up. There it is. Spicy Butthole and Flossed. Okay. So, I mean, these games, Spicy Butthole just was all over them. To talk on Flossed, first of all, King Yo, again, looked great. He's looked great all season for them. Been a really big standout player for Flossed. They didn't have Fincher for this match, so obviously that's one of their best players, but War Within did fill in and had himself a good series in the end. War Within, a great player, can play with pretty much every weapon, so that's quite a good guy to be able to get to ring for you in a playoff series, of course. But the first match was Rail Yard. Well, no, was it Rail Yard? Yeah, it was Rail Yard, okay. So, Rail Yard, Spicy Butthole took 316 to 22. Wow, every time I click on this thing, it fucks up. So, big performances here by Dillard and DieLife, 33 and 30 there. Stealth as well had 30. And, of course, Stamp continues to play better and better, 27 and 23. On the other side, King Yo had 28. War Within at 31, of course. Like I said, he played really well. And then Bullet with 25. Nightmares and Pizza Hut at 20 apiece. Beluga going Train with 6. You know, it's Train Car. Twist, Laura, and... Oh, I already mentioned the other 4. So Twist and Laura ended up with just no kills to go to them at that point. It's one of those things, like I was mentioning before. And then in the second half, Dillard had 44. He went off. Dillard went off in this whole series. He was just dropping fucking bombs, man. Luke looked so good. Stamp had 33. Kevin with 30. And Stealth. DieLife with 30. Twist 21. Laura was 16. They had 174 kills as a team. On the other side, Pizza with 26. Nightmares 26. Bullet 19. King Yo 18. War Within 17. Beluga 16. It's just a huge win for Spicy Butthole. And then on Railroad 2, Dillard had 47 on Allies and 35 on Axis, so he dropped an 82. Not quite the Debo level, but still really good. DieLife with 34 on Allies, Stealth 31, Twist 30, Bar and Train, Stamp 27 on Apartments, 14 on Laura. And on the other side, Stamp with 26, Laura with 18, Twist 22, DieLife almost dropped 40 there with 39. Stealth at 33. Just, again, really evenly distributed frags as a team. And the big performers for Floss were, of course, again, King Yo and War Within. And actually, Nightmares had a good half there on the bar, too, with 25. But it was 27 on King Yo and 25 apiece for War Within and Nightmares. It was a total of 316 to 22. You know, it was just Spicy Butthole. They were the best team all season, and they continue to show it, which is foreshadowing for what's to come in 2 matches, from what I'm about to get into, which I just spoiled a little bit for those of you that don't know already, which everybody pretty much does at this point. But on the other semifinal side, it was Romario versus Washed Up. I missed the Lennon match. Yeah, I missed the Lennon match. It was actually, did I talk about this already? I feel like I already went over this in the last DODCAST episode. Can anybody confirm that? I did. I skipped the shit out of bronze. I feel kind of bad about it. And now I'm trying to think of if I might have already talked about the Romario versus Washed Up semi. Just in case I didn't, I'll go over it quickly. Lennon Romario won 336 to 314. It was a super close match. Casino for Washed Up looked excellent. He had 36 on Axis and 26 on Allies as the top fragger. For Romario, Matt had 30, Zaps had 30, and Vanaki had 28. Burn made his first appearance, which was in a long time, which was again foreshadowing. But on Romario's side, on the other half, after their bars were their top fraggers, on Allies, their cars were the top fraggers. On Axis, 35 for LZL, 33 on Vanaki. A recurring theme with this team. Their rifles are all so good, and I'm including Burn in that, even though he tends to light. You know, technically it's the 3rd rifle that he's playing. So that was a super close game. But then Railroad 2, they brought the pain, winning 277 to 15. I know LZL went off in this game, as did Vanaki, as did Burn. It was all the rifles all the time, just going off. I think Vanaki ended up top fragging overall. Yes, he did, with 78, including a 41 on Allies. And then LZL had 70 overall. I mean, 70 kills in your second top fragging. And then Burn had 32 on Allies, 24 on Axis. Got a bunch of clips coming out of Train. They sweep the series 2-0. And then we fast forward a week to just a couple days ago here, where Romario versus Nice, an already close game from earlier in the season. They finally meet in the grand finals. First map is Thunder. Romario wins this one 130-90. LZL on Axis and Vanaki were big. The biggest story here, so Man sniped out of his mind, first of all. Going up against Stealth is no easy task. Now, Stealth was still 31-11. So it wasn't like he got held off the score sheet or anything. Kevin went nuts. But Man was doing a good job of basically killing everybody else and getting Stealth, keeping Stealth uncomfortable to where he couldn't just kind of like, you know, as a sniper, a lot of it is about your tempo, your flow. And when you're dealing with another sniper that is having a really good game like that, you have to turn your attention to them at times. And, you know, Man did a perfect job of that. They also had Burn constantly breaking mid. They always had guys in mid-house, basically, was the biggest thing. Romario kept guys in mid-house. They won the first half by 6. It was super close on Axis. And then second half, there we go, it loaded up. They win 86-52. This half, LZL top fragged with 32. He top fragged by a fucking lot, actually. The next closest was 21 on Man. Again, good half. But Stealth on the other side, even with that good half with Man, Kevin goes 32-9, and he actually almost doubled the next highest player on his team. He was 32-9. Second was Stamp at 18-20. Romario just locked this fucking map down, man. Like, yeah, Man doing a good job of playing at a distance. LZL doing a good job pushing up with the rifles and the nades. And then everybody else was doing a perfect job of covering up after they had mid and making sure not to give up too much map control. And they just looked excellent. Casting it with Chi, who is obviously playing with these guys in the past. We've watched them play for 3 seasons now, and they've just continued to get better and better. They did not love Thunder before, nor did they love Railroad 2. Those were 2 of their least favorite maps, and they went to school on it. They continued to work at it until now, culminating in this W here, followed by map 2, which was Railroad 2, as I foreshadowed. Allied side here, first half for Nice. 34 on Die Life, looked outstanding with the Garand, going apartments, lots of multi-kills. Kevin Stealth, of course, 31-21. Dillard, 20. Twist, 19. Laura, 13. Stamp, 18. And on the Romario side, we had Vanaki with 32, of course, coming up big. Mand, again, another great half, 30-23. And Matt, 27-18. Having in apartments, looked great. LZL, 27. Zaps, 23. I don't know how many kills Burn had. He disconnected, but even when Burn isn't getting a lot of kills, the thing is he's just such a nuisance coming out of Train. Like, you have to worry about that. He always finds ways to get out to your last flag on Allies and your second flag on Axis and just wreak havoc at those areas. And it was no different here. Nice did a good job of defending. Obviously, keeping it to only a 32-point deficit. A lot of the times we've seen Romario play this map, their Axis side, they have gotten a lot of cap-outs through Burn. But Nice kept it close. 32 points. Obviously, it's a bit Allied-sided, but probably feeling pretty decent heading into the second half. However, 72-40 in favor of Romario here. Vanaki with 35 to finish it off. Got to be the MVP of the team overall for the season. LZL at 32, Zaps 26 on the bar, Burn 23 on the Tommy, 17 on Man, and then on the Nice, we only get 5 in the screenshot. But Die Life and Dillard, the dynamic duo rifle team there for Nice all season, been amazing. Along with Stealth, of course, as the sniper, they all drop bombs all the time. 37 on Die Life, 36 on Dillard. 20 on Stamp, 11 on Twist, 10 on Laura. Just Romario played out of their minds. You know, they were able to get that 1 extra cap on both sides. And, you know, they just, again, another team that peaked at the best possible time. They just kept looking better and better. They took the loss early in the season to Nice on Railyard. So I imagine that was vetoed. I forget. I think the third map would have been Lennon, if I recall correctly. I could be wrong, but I think it would have probably been Lennon. Based on what I know of Nice, I would guess they'd want to play Lennon. Stamp and Twist are a really good heavy team on it. Die Life and Dillard are both great at it. Laura's actually really, really good too at going either route with the rifle and with either rifle. And then Stealth. Sniping on Lennon, he's a weirdo. He likes sniping on Lennon. I hate it, but in the end, Romario didn't let it get that far, man. They put him away 2-0. Romario are your Season 3 bronze champs for KTP. Congrats to those guys. We all know I'm a big fan of all of them. I love casting their games. They're all such good players, good dudes. They practice their balls off. From the start of Season 1 to now, I would say if you could count the total number of minutes practicing, I would say that they've got to be up there. This group of guys between sleepers and Romario and heavyweights, very committed to this game, and it showed, and it paid off with a title here. Such a good season for Nice, coming up just short again, though. It's unfortunate. It's just one of those kind of curse situations where they looked unbeatable all season, and they just ran into a team that was hot as fuck at the wrong time. And, in the end, coming up just short. Hopefully they also will stick together and just continue to play together, because I think that they will be a team that will keep, just as they play together more and get used to one another. I mean, obviously they play together a lot, but it's one of those things where there's always levels to it, where even though they play together a lot, it'll get to a point where like they'll understand one another even more, after a while, as it was with, anybody that, any teams that stuck around together for a long time. Now on the gold side of things, okay, so yeah, that's it for bronze. Romario wins bronze. There's no more to say about it. Where are we? There it is. Okay, so on the gold side, we had Thunder. We played Why So Serious. We played Harrington. It was 362 to 221 on Harrington. J-Rod and Tox both had 37. Jules with 31. Ryan with 30. I had 28. And Ace had 25. And on Why So Serious side, Die Life with 29. Justin Lynch, again, one of my picks for MVPs this season, also 29. Booten 27. Warchild 25. 22 on Element. And 19 on Crod. This is a pretty good Axis half. You can't complain too much about this level of score for your Axis side. Harrington, where's the second half? There it is. They all looked really good. They were all playing well. And then on their Allied side, they actually won this half, of course, but they weren't able to get the number of caps they needed. We were defending a lot on our Axis side. And we had a couple big plays. Ace, even though he's 12 and 27 here, 4 of those kills came when he was the last alive with an STG on mountain steps as they were trying to push to cap out. He just got like 4, like a nade kill and 3 STG headshots, So regardless of the kill total, there's always something to contribute. And if you don't get down on yourself over your score, that opportunity will arise, and you can have those moments. Ryan had 14. I had 27. Jules had 31. He was car barring. We were missing Dorito. We thought we were going to be missing Tox too, but he ended up being able to play for this couple-hour span. And J-Rod with 31. On the other side, Die Life 29. Justin 28. Booten 26. Crod 25. Johnny with 18, Element with 17. We took it overall 362 to 221 by about 140. They played really well. On Anzio, though, it basically ended up being, they forfeited after this first half, and they were kind of just done with it, I think, at a certain point in the first half. Me and Booten were just like going for movie shots on each other at a certain point on this half. I know. We love all these guys. They're all great players, good people. I know that they were kind of done with DOD this season, and this certainly didn't help. I thought that they were an excellent team. They showed that with the beat up they put on Rat Pack, just dominating them on Anzio. Hopefully they'll all stick around and keep playing, whether they play together or not. It's a lot of DOD talent there, and a lot of DOD experience, and good dudes. And the community doesn't need to lose these guys, any of them. So hopefully they'll keep moving forward, whether they play together or not. I know that some of them wanted to play silver. I would say they probably need to not play together to do that, since they are all players that have played almost exclusively in gold since they've been back. But we've already seen this season, like, there's gold players on a lot of the silver teams. It's just a matter of mixing and matching enough to not have it be ridiculous. And then on the other side of the bracket, we had this crazy fucking Icyat T3 series, Anzio. Icyat takes it 305 to 287, an 18-point win here. Sick, 23 and 10, Karin Plaza. That's massive. Jesse, great fucking game with the Stas there. Bees looked excellent on Plaza. Hildy, 21 and 17. Casey with 19. Tony with 12, being stuck in street. And on the T3 side, PDX, of course, you know, the guy shows up when it matters most, especially going 22 and 19, top fragging there. Very even frag distribution kind of across the board here. It was just a stereotypical playoff Anzio game with two great teams. You know, it was not high flying. It was tactical. It was about teamwork and good nades and good positioning and not making stupid fucking plays here. Obviously, Icyat toughed it out. That's not the right screenshot. Here it is. By 18, they ended up winning overall. Second half, Bees ended up with 27 on the bar there. Hildy looked great on the sniper with 25. Casey with 21. Tony with 23. William with 19. And Jesse with 18. And on T3's side, Nick, he's so good at sniping either half of the map on Axis. He goes 27 and 12. Just ridiculous. James right behind him at 25. PDX with 17. Leo with 16. Taylor with 12. Booten on the Unter ended up with 9. I forget what was going on there. I feel like he was maybe trying to play overly passive or something, and he was getting naded a lot on bridge. I definitely recall at one point like he was trying to hold on to bridge at the end of it and just getting naded by like 5 nades. But regardless, Icyat played a really, really good game here. They showed their experience. Just all these players have fucking endless experience playing this game and this map in particular. But still 18 points. You know, it wasn't like T3 got blown out or anything. They were this close to winning this game. There was a lot of really, really clutch plays on both sides, but in particular with the way that Icyat were able to prevent some of the cap-outs that got really close. I know there was one really unfortunate like whole exchange that happened on Plaza for T3 at one point where they were like this close to capping out, and there was like just the timing on a peak from main ramp. It was literally like right when I think PDX looked away from main ramp to tell somebody to come cap Plaza is right when they peaked main ramp after he had been looking at it for like 10 seconds. It was just the worst possible luck in the world on the timing of the peak. But in the end, 18-point win there. And then we moved on to Harrington. And this is T3's playground. So good at this map. We talk about it all the time on here. I'm constantly praising T3 and the way that they play Harrington. It was a close game. This is probably the closest Harrington game they've had. 250 to 229. So this one was only 21 points here. On Icyat, Bees and Vertex on their allied side were outstanding, as was Sick. Compton doing a good job as the passive heavy. Jesse kind of like holding down all sides of the map, being the rotator with 20 and 18. 23 on Ben Hildy. This was a 150-point win this half on your allied side for Icyat. But on T3's side, so Taylor ends up with the car bar here so that PDX can have you with Bud. They're very good at having this map together. Taylor ends up second top fragging with the car on Axis side with 33, and Leo top frags 36, just playing out of his mind. Till going long by himself ends up with 21. He is still very good at doing that though. Like, you know, the fact that he's still doing it tells you exactly how good he is at it. Because if it didn't work, he wouldn't still be doing it. For a team that is the best team on Harrington, like that right there tells you how good he is at it. PDX had 19, Bud had 20, Nick had 22. 144 points, I believe, was the deficit for them, headed into their allied half. And then in that half, so obviously they end up winning overall. They did enough on their allied side. Taylor, though, top frags overall, got to be the MVP here. Because this match, you know, what ends up happening on Thunder, like they blew them out. T3 played a perfect Thunder game, but they wouldn't have got that far without Taylor's performance on Harrington, top fragging. I mean, he car barred, so of course you expect. Like, if you're going to car bar, you need to be up there in kills. But he did. He delivered. And he was getting a lot of multi-kills in key situations that were really keeping them alive. Being able to hold flags just that extra second so that another cap out couldn't happen. Or getting a flag or getting a multi-kill. Like, he just looked great. Both on the bar and on the car. PDX had 33 on the bar. Or on the Garand, I mean. Again, PDX had a lot of key plays. There was one time where him and Bud were the last two alive up against 5 guys from Icy Hot. One was on the Allied first flag, one was on the Axis, and they both got, I think, 2 kills and just ended the rush right there. Otherwise, that could have been a cap out. That would have been a loss. Just ice water in their veins. But PDX, lots of break nades as always. James at 24. Nick, 29 and 15, 2-to-1 ratio, sniping, just as reliable a sniper as you're going to get. Lots of fucking crazy shots, of course. Crazy pistol shots, crazy flick shots, crazy no-scopes. Usually when Nick gets a kill, it's fucking highlight worthy. It's just ridiculous. Bud at 19, Leo with 20. It was a team effort, like truly out of T3. Everybody had moments where they had to come up big, and they responded. On the Icy outside, Jesse was definitely their best player this half. 30 kills there, 30 and 20. Sick with 28, Bees with 23, Casey with 20, Hildy with 15, Tony with 14. It's Axis side Harrington. You have to play a lot of defense. It's very easy to get naded into oblivion or to have your whole team die at once. Icy Hot did a really good job of holding on as long as they can against a team like T3, who is just so well-versed at blowing teams out on this map. And, they kept it to 21 points, and they were this close to winning on a few occasions where clutch situations happened, and T3 were able to pull it out. This pushed it a few days later for the clinching map in map 3. I actually have no idea if those scores were up there at the end. But map 3 was Thunder. And T3, like I said earlier and said during the cast, they just played a perfect game. They played a perfect Thunder game, 174-24. If you get capped on Thunder, that's usually game. Especially if it happens early enough that the other team then has the freedom to play however they want. And it was no different this time. T3, even if they hadn't capped, would have still won by a lot. I think it would have been 110. Yeah, because that's how much they held mid. They didn't give up mid more. Okay, so they did give up mid a couple times, but it couldn't have been for more than like a couple seconds at a time, Hey, there's Mel. Sorry, I was not looking at my chat for a second there, so I don't know if you're still in here, but hello, Mel. Melissa in the building. But yeah, so T3, though they did lose mid a couple times, it couldn't have been for more than a couple seconds at a time. Lots of crazy mid breaks coming out of both Leo and PDX. Taylor did a really good job of always being a presence in mid alley. Just to look at the scores, PDX and Leo for sure were the big guns here. PDX 34 on Axis, Leo with 31, Till with 23. They all went positive. Well, okay, so Taylor was 1 negative, but I consider that positive at this point. He had 21. Bud had 21. Nick was 22 and 10. And then on Icy outside, Tony had 22. William had 21. 19 on Mitch. 19 on Hildy. 16 on Kanga. 13 on Vertex. Leo and PDX were just killing everything, though. They were just killing everything. And on the Allied side, this was the first half, technically. So Icy Hot started off really, really well on their Axis side, and they were this close to being the ones to get mid first, but PDX, I believe it was, broke it once with a nade and then ran onto the cap. Icy Hot wasn't able to cover the Rebel push at that point. I think because their last 2 players were in mid, if I recall correctly, doing the capping. So maybe, it's hindsight is 2020. If they hadn't gone for the cap there, maybe they could have killed the wave and gone for it. That's wishful thinking, obviously, but it's one of those things where, the cap gets broken at the last second, and then, they all die, and they lose mid, and it's pretty much, they weren't able to get it back. T3 knows how to play this map. They know how to keep control on mid. They know to always have somebody there ready to break. They know to check for the breaks on their side of things as well. They're not making mistakes. But on this half, Leo had 34, PDX with 33. 22-11 on Nick. I mean, he went 2-1 overall. Just you know, as much of a sniper on Thunder Clinic as you can get. Taylor, 21-15, really good at understanding the intricacies of especially barring on this map and the way that you can use that flank, or not flank, but extremity of a route to your advantage. You know, like the peeking when you know they're coming to break mid and are priming nades to throw from like slab. Really good time to peek. You know, I've seen him do it so many times and get multiple kills. He did it here. It's taken advantage of the situations where they are going to be vulnerable because, you know, like if you're listening while you're at the end of bunker and you hear all these nades getting primed, you know your team is 1 out of 2 or 2 out of 2 on mid. You got to take advantage of that. And Taylor did a great job of it. He was in mid alley a lot. When he wasn't there, Bud was there. T3 were flooding through bunker when they needed a third guy. Very rarely were losing control of anything, and they just looked really dominant on this map. Really, like, no mistakes made in general. But yeah, they blew it out of the water on Thunder, 174-24. They win the series 2-1. We get a rematch of Thunder versus T3 in the finals. And yeah, well, you know, it's unfortunate because, like, well, I'm not going to predict my own match. But that means that I'll have enough time to finish this and then go eat my food. Because my food is most definitely probably here already. And it's probably sitting out in the rain. And I did not paint my walls. No, they're just blue. Pretty sure that they're the same color. Yeah, they're definitely the same color as the last time you were here. Maybe it's the ceiling that looks different. No, I can't go get my food. I gotta finish recording this first. It's only gonna take me like 5 minutes. I just gotta do the predictions for one match because the other match is my match. I'm not gonna predict it. Good luck, have fun, T3. We always have a fun match against each other. It's always razor fucking close. The 3 maps are Lenin, Anzio, and of course, Railroad 2. So you know it's going to 3 maps because we gotta play Railroad 2 to decide it. After all these games, a fucking 3-point game on Railroad 2, a 9-point game on Railroad 2, a 1-point game on Railroad 1, we gotta play Railroad. But on the silver side, we get Lads versus Goose Patrol. They look green? Really? This looks green? I guess it is kind of weird. I don't know. Maybe it's the saturation or something. Tough to say. Tough to say. How do I do this? Let me open up this bad boy here. And drop it like it's hot. Let's see. There we go. No, no, no. There we go. Full screen this motherfucker. Yeah, no. I wish you could put a beauty filter on what you call it, Streamlabs. I wish there was Snapchat filters on this. It's probably like the lighting or something. The light probably being directly on the wall next to me. Alright, so silver finals, Lads versus Goose Patrol. The 2 seed versus the... You know, I'm not positive what seed Goose Patrol ended up being. The 5 seed. You know, that's huge. I don't think we've seen a seed that low end up in a finals yet since DOD has been back. Really, really impressive by Goose Patrol. Obviously getting Debo back into the lineup at the end of the season. You know, that's a whole different team. But for Goose Patrol, you're going to have Hopper and Nicholson probably heavying, depending on the maps. You're going to have DB sniping. You're going to have Reptar, Debo, and Gall. You could see Debo heavy. You could see Debo rifle. You could see Hopper third. You could see Hopper heavy. Basically the only real potential variation you'll see in that lineup. And then for Lads, you got Louis and Timo on the cars. You got Cage on the third. Yanni on the sniper. And of course, Milo and Chi on the heavies. Great heavy team. Very well-rounded. Milo, I think it's pretty safe to say. Well, although if Debo's heavying, I guess they're good at a good head-to-head matchup for going at each other for the best heavy and silver. You know, Debo's more of a he-does-everything kind of guy rather than a pure heavy. So it's probably more fair to say Milo's the best heavy, whereas Debo can be that good with any weapon that he decides to play. But if they're heavying against each other this week, it's kind of going to be deciding who ends up getting that title for the best heavy and silver this season when all is said and done. You know, obviously they're both gold players, you know, but they're in silver. that's the way the cookie crumbles. It's going to be a fucking mashing of heads between these two studs on the heavies. I forget what the maps were. Do we have a list of that? I think I kind of know. Okay, there it is. So, map number 1. Oh, shit, my food is here. Map number 1 is Harrington, which was picked by Lads. Map number 2, Lennon, picked by the Goose Patrol, which I like. Map decider, Railroad 2 again, guys. I love it. We're getting another Railroad 2 grand final, if it gets there, of course. No one decided that map. That was, oh, shit. Just had to check what my text said real quick. I'll just do it one more time. Okay. There we go. Okay, hopefully that stops fucking up real quick. It's not. It's still fucking up. Whatever. I'm not dealing with it right now. What the fuck happened? Like the program just closed itself? I don't care. Anyways, Silver Finals, Goose Patrol, Lads. First map is Harrington. What? My food's been here since 6:15? Oh my god. God damn it. I should have just waited to do this till later, apparently. It's fine. It's fine. Whatever. I don't need to eat. Awesome. Okay, so Harrington. It's going to be interesting. We saw Goose Patrol play it against No-Go. I didn't get to cast it, so I didn't really see it. Bummer. Bummer, bummer, bummer. We saw them play No-Go. Even though I didn't get to cast it, they won. Reptar ended up with like something like 78 kills or something on that map. Looked excellent. Debo was second top fragger there. DB is a great sniper on Harrington, of course. Really just that's a team where when they have their resources kind of spread out like that, the way that they can on Lennon and stuff, they can really make it count and have that firepower all over the place to where you cannot escape a player that's going to be able to dump on your face under any circumstances. Obviously, though, on the Lads side, you have a lot of guys that are particularly really good at Harrington. You know, Yanni, great Harrington sniper. That's going to be a really fun sniper battle between him and DB. Timo, whether he's going mid, going long, you know, if he's going mid, he's the best nader in the game. He's got those nades. He can even nade you mid from long plenty of times. But he's also one of the best long players in the game. I believe he'll probably go long. I'm pretty sure that's what he was doing in the last Harrington game. Louis also very adept at going mid with both rifles. And then that heavy team is ridiculous. We just saw it in the screenshots from the last Harrington game versus Insomnia. Milo and Chi both looked outstanding. Both have. So that's a tough fucking call. I don't know what Goose Patrol is going to do class-wise. I don't know what I would do, really, if I was like the coach of that team or whatever and picking people's classes. You know, Reptar, I think it's a good idea. Obviously, a lot of the time you want to send more than just the two guys straight up mid. You want a third anchor kind of player. And I think Reptar, especially on the Allied side, has been really, really good at playing that role. Gall has always been a mid player as well. So I think realistically you could get away with that. I don't know if you might maybe want to have Debo on a rifle in this game for the nades, or if you want to put him on the heavy to go head-to-head with Milo. That might be what's the best thing to do, because Milo is so goddamn good. You can't afford to have him just running all over the place, unless Hopper and Nicholson feel really good with their game plan and their chemistry together to be able to at least contain Milo. You're never going to stop him from getting a really good number of kills and having an impact. But if you can at least contain him and keep him from dropping, you know, like 80 overall or whatever, like that in and of itself is a victory on that route. We've seen him go off for 90-plus kills on Harrington many times. So, but DB versus Yanni going to be a very key matchup in mid, and who can avoid being naded a billion times. And, of course, can you contain Timo on long? I think overall I would probably favor Lads on Harrington. just they have a couple guys that are ridiculous at Harrington in particular, in Timo and in Milo. And I've seen Louis have some really crazy games going mid as well on Harrington. Very capable of getting a bunch of kills at a time. There's Jane. Wasn't sure if you were in here or not. But yeah, I'd probably take Lads here, and I think I think no matter what, all three of these games are going to be really fucking close. I think you can guess that I would probably take Goose Patrol on Lennon for the same reasons that I thought they could beat Clinic last week and was right. Oh, bye, Jane. They just, when you can spread out Debo and have him in apartments, and you got Gull on Well, and then you got DB on Long, and the way that he sort of moves around the map with the sniper rifle and does things a little differently than the average sniper does. I think that they're in really, really good shape on that map. They looked great at it against Clinic, who is an excellent team. Obviously, you got Timo to contend with no matter what. Hey, there's Baron. Oh, I love it. It's like, with Lads, you still have to deal with Colin, and you have to deal with Milo, and you have to deal with Cage, who has been another guy who I've said, like, really good pick for an MVP this season. So they can kind of match up on those routes. But I think that this map favors the play style of the guys on Goose Patrol a little bit more. The question's going to be who can end up getting the full caps, because Lads is good at defending in those down to our last flag situations. We've seen Goose Patrol do it in that series against Clinic. If they can do it again this time, that's the way that they can hold on and do Lennon. But, of course, if you have a tough game and a couple, like a prone dive cap where the guy dies on the flag and gets it, or on the other side, you die on the flag and don't get it, things like that can always happen. Harrington, I take Lads by, say, 47. Lennon, I'm taking Goose Patrol by 18. And then Railroad 2, it's going to be down to Debo and Milo in apartments, and it's going to be down to Timo and Andrew on the mid side of things. I think that it's like everywhere else, everybody matches up really, really well, really well. And it's going to come down to which of these guys has their bigger game here. That's what all it's going to come down to. I have no idea what to expect. We just saw Debo go off for basically 100 kills on Railroad 2. If he does that again, then the Goose Patrol wins. If you have Debo doing that, it's going to be really fucking hard for any team to overcome that. But if you have Milo doing that, if you have Colin doing that, which they are both very capable of, especially obviously with a heavy, obviously with a rifle, you don't see a whole lot of 60 bombs because you don't have a full clip to just spray people down with all the time, especially on a map like Railroad 2 where it's kind of chaotic. It's more like 35 to 40 is the best halves you see a lot of the time there. But it's really going to just come down to that. The big impact players. Who will come up with the best results out of these guys on these teams if it gets to that map, of course. I think it will. I really do think that the two map picks match up really well for the teams that pick them. Anything could happen. A map could be stolen by either one of them. But I think it's going to go to a third map. I think Railroad 2 will be fucking bonkers. I have no idea who the fuck is going to win. Really, I say it's going to come down to those impact players, but just the same, it could come down to everybody but them, Those guys are all very consistent and will have good games always. So it could come down to who out of the other four on each team has a crazy performance, Are the train guys going to go off? If you have your train guy go off and have a crazy half, get flanking around, be able to execute some cap outs potentially there, that is huge. And that could be the difference maker. I just think Railroad 2 is kind of a perfect finale for this series. I can't pick it. I really can't. I think it's a really even matchup. The weapons on both teams match up super well. We saw that Goose Patrol can bring the heat on the teamwork side of things too. So I think that this is just going to be a really, really fun series. I'll definitely be casting it. It's at 3 p.m. as well. And 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, which is Sunday the 26th. I will definitely be here. I can't believe my food got here nearly an hour ago, and I didn't know. God, man, good luck and have fun to both those teams tomorrow. We'll be watching. It's going to be really, really fun, as always, with the silver games. They're always just a blast to do for me. And, yeah, good luck. Have fun to T3 as well. All of our games are always fucking insane. I don't even know what time we're supposed to play at. I think 9 o'clock. So we'll need somebody to cast that if there's anybody available to do it. I'm sure there will be. But yeah, we will see you guys all tomorrow. It's going to be a long day of championship DOD. Looking forward to it. Season 3 is almost done. Then we all get a big long break from league-based DOD for a while. So everybody who's DOD'd out, don't fret. It's almost over with. Everyone have a good rest of the night. Get the last bit of rest you can before tomorrow. Love you, Baron. Love you all, the 4 people that are in here. I didn't advertise because I didn't want to have a bunch of people come in for this. So I said a lot of nice things about you, Chi. I always do. You know I love your ass. You too, William. I love your ass a lot. All right, guys. I'm going to go eat. I'm so hungry. I'm so tired. Have a good night. Mwah. Love you guys. Peace out. Everybody have fun tomorrow. Get her done. Oh, sushi? Damn, I'm kind of jealous. Now that I have a cold burger waiting for me. Fuck. All right, guys. Later.